My daughter called to ask about her dad's chili recipe. Her dad died when she was 9 and never cooked a day in his life. That was our code for, I've been kidnapped. My husband was special forces before he got cancer. In his last months, he became obsessed with worst-case scenarios. He made Bridget memorize codes in case anyone ever took her. Dad's chili recipe meant I've been taken. Mom's garden meant trace this call. Aunt Carol's lake house meant multiple people. The dog needs his shot meant I don't know where I am. Uncle Tim's boat meant they're armed. I thought it was the morphine talking. Bridget was 8 years old, sitting at his bedside, repeating these phrases like nursery rhymes while I cried in the hallway. We didn't have an Aunt Carol or an Uncle Tim. My husband was an only child, and so was I. He died 6 years ago. Bridget is 14 now. She called me at 3:22 on a Tuesday afternoon. I was in a meeting. She never calls during school. Hey, Mom, she said, voice too bright. Can you remind me how Dad used to make his chili? My blood went cold. I walked out and scribbled on my notebook. Call 911. Bridget said, I can't remember if he used kidney beans or black beans. I said carefully, where are you calling from, honey? Mom's garden, she said, looking at the tomatoes. Trace this call. I pointed frantically at my coworker who was already dialing. I wrote, trace the call, kidnapping. I said, the tomatoes are looking good this year. She said, yeah, and I was thinking we could take some to Aunt Carol's lake house this weekend. Multiple people. My coworker showed me his phone. 911 dispatcher asking me to keep her talking. I said, is someone helping you plan this? Just me, she said. Then louder, I'm talking to my mom about dinner. A man's voice said, put it on speaker. Bridget said, you're on speaker now, Mom. I said, so the chili, did you check if we have all the ingredients? She said, I think so. Oh wait, the dog needs his shot, doesn't he? I forgot about that. She doesn't know where she is. I wrote, no location. My hands were shaking. I said, what made you think about making chili today? She said, I was thinking about that restaurant off Highway 71, near the old grain mill. We stopped there coming back from the science fair. We never stopped at a restaurant near a grain mill. I wrote, HWY, 71, grain mill. My coworker relayed it to police. The man's voice said, wrap it up. Bridget said quickly, oh, and Uncle Tim's boat. Did he ever get that fixed? They're armed. She said, anyway, what time will you be home? 5, 6? I looked at my watch. 3:28. I said, probably 5:30. She said, okay, love you. The line went dead. Police had the location. Abandoned grain processing plant off Highway 71. Units were 12 minutes out. I was 9 minutes away. I ran. I pulled up at 3:39. The old mill was massive. Rusted, metal, and broken windows. A black SUV was parked on the side. Police arrived at 3:41. 4 cars, officers spreading out. One came to my window and said, stay in the vehicle. I said, she said they're armed. His face changed. He radioed and pulled his weapon. They approached the building and announced themselves. Someone inside shouted. Then I heard my daughter scream. More shouting. 3 gunshots. I was out of the car before the 4th shot. An officer caught me at the door. I was screaming Bridget's name. She came out 30 seconds later, escorted by 2 officers, crying and shaking but walking. Not hurt. 2 men in handcuffs. A 3rd man on the ground inside, not moving. At the hospital, Bridget told me they'd grabbed her walking home from school, pulled her into the SUV at a stoplight. She'd heard them talking about crossing state lines, about someone who paid extra for teenage girls. They'd been driving for 40 minutes when she convinced them to let her call me, told them it would look suspicious if she didn't check in. They believed her because she stayed calm. When she heard my voice, she just started saying the phrases exactly like Dad taught her. She didn't know if I'd remember. The police said if she'd been in that building 15 more minutes, they'd have been gone. Her father died when she was 9 years old. I thought he was being paranoid and morbid, wasting his last words on something that would never happen.